Hi, my name is Cyrus Orsia Sakula, and I am one of the overall heads for the Stolen Arts Museum.
Hi, my name is Cameron Garcia, and I'm also one of the overall heads for the Stolen Arts Museum.
So, slam to me is a piece of art that tells story. It's a statement piece that explores themes of colonization, of the horrible things that happen throughout history that are usually shunned out. And I really cherish the story that we told because it speaks the truth that most historians are ashamed of. And I think it's really important to be transparent with moments of history.
I also have this a similar interpretation of slam as Sia. But one thing I would like to add is I remember talking about it with one of my teachers, and one of the points that she really let out that I also interpreted was that slam is also a piece that gives voice to issues that we don't really talk about. Also, it can relate to women's issues, which is also really important as we're all girls school.
Okay, so our conceptualization process started way back last summer vacation. Um, we were researching a lot of artifacts, and we were going through them and choosing the right ones to add in our final five. And we chose this current set of statues because um, they were all once stolen, and not many people know about their true history and their true origins because um, parts of their history was sort of colonized or even erased. And mentioning uh, to mention the Karaite sister and the marbles of Parthenon, they are both still in the British Museum, which is what we loosely base this play off of. And we really want to tell their stories. Would you want to add anything, Atikam?
Yeah, it's really when doing further research on these artifacts that we really wanted to have them in our play. For example, while yes, the Balangiga bells were returned, they're also still a very significant piece of Filipino history, and we really wanted to present that in our play. And it's also with the Sphinx of Taharko and the Madonna Rouge, where they're not from the spaces I'm in, they're not really as discussed as some of the other artifacts. So we wanted to bring light onto them, especially with the Sphinx of Taharko, as he was excavated rather than stolen. So compared to other artifacts, he was dug up from one of the sites and he was brought to the museum, from what I remember from my research. So I really wanted to have them emphasize that in the play too.
Hi, my name is Demi Gonzalez, and I am the director of the Caryatid Sisters.
I'm Regina Villanueva, and I'm the writer for the Caryatid Sister.
Okay, so for the Caryatid Sisters, I wanted them to portray as someone who's at first timid and sort of not that aggressive, but throughout her performance, she begins to slowly make the audience realize what she went through, and especially how much her other sisters who she was with means to her.
I think for me, in writing the Caryatid Sister, it was about trying to portray the central plot or the central theme of slam very early on, which is the idea of what is the better thing that we can do with artifacts that are taken from colonial conflicts, which is that, are they better off with colonial masters, or are they better off with these individuals who may not be able to take care of them, but these things belong to them? So I think when I was approaching the Caryatid Sister, it was about trying to navigate that incredibly conflicting feeling of knowing that you are safer in some place that actively harms the place where you're from and your culture, but you're safer there and you're better off there. But does it make you happy and does it make you fulfilled? I think it was also a matter of trying to intersect that with ideas of women who like existed during these times, specifically women from colonized cultures who were oftentimes the victims of very heinous crimes, and trying to navigate those themes and the reality of a lot of these women in a monologue.
And what I want to add on is for how I got my actors to portray this is that a lot of communication was involved, of course, because it was hard for them to get out of their comfort zone, especially with their role, because two of my actors both have different personalities, so it was hard for them to match up to whatever I visioned, but in the end they got to portray it really well.
I am Alexa Sevilla. I am the writer for The Sphinx of the Harka, and I'm also the head of scriptwriting committee.
Hi, I'm Luda Jesus, and I'm the director for The Sphinx of the Harka. I wanted the Sphinx to be portrayed as a king who is confident in his siguro yung creation niya, and I wanted him to be like, how do I say this? Siguro mainly kasi what I wanted to emphasize based on his history was that parang people would often overlook his history and would often forget it. So hence what I wanted to portray was his siguro wanting to be remembered once again, and parang in sense of both desperate and also angry at the fact that he's being forgotten despite all of his work, all of his yung mga nagawa niya para sa people niya.
Yeah. The vision I mainly had in mind, especially when writing the monologue, was really making it sound like a battle epic. Like, it was very lengthy and like narrative in a way that he wanted to tell the people, and it was this his only way to show the people what he did for his people. There's a lot of imagery regarding sand and like eroding with time because of the fact that in a sense talaga his entire history was buried and it was forgotten. I also wanted to emphasize the major political beats and like the anger that comes with it, because the story of the Sphinx of the Harka, because the Harka was an African warrior, the people who are people of color are also being oppressed to this day, and that is one thing that we also wanted to emphasize to this monologue, that people's value usually gets eradicated at the hands of larger cultures such as colonialism or colonial narratives, and we wanted to empower these certain cultures that get lost to time.
Hi, I'm Zoe Perez, and I am the writer and director for the Parthenon Marbles. In the process of writing the marbles, I'm not really a part of a history person, but I found myself becoming drawn to the backstory of the marbles. The more I found out about their history and how much they were loved how loved they were in Athens, I came to realize that they truly did mean a lot to a lot of people. And it came to me that when the British came and took them away, they claimed that they had the better means to protect them. But as I researched more about the marbles, I realized that those were just empty words, empty promises, because the marbles, they were once beautiful, they were once vibrant, and now they were clean, they were washed out, and I thought they're now dull and lifeless. And with this, I came to realize that the message that I wanted to convey in the monologue or through my actors is that sometimes the things that people tell you, those are just empty words. Safety, you can never really guarantee safety. I realized that through knowing more about the marbles. Because even despite being brought into a place that seemed safe, they still managed to destroy the artifact one way or another. And what I want people to realize is that all that you can do for yourself is fight. Fight against injustice. Fight for what you think is right. That is the message that I want to convey to everyone who watched the marbles. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Claude Salvador. I wrote the script of Madonna Broods, and I also directed them. So, well, since the Madonna handles very religious topics, and in a Catholic school such as this, it's really difficult to find the courage to actually speak up about those problems. Which is why, through my writing, I wanted to portray Mama Mary as Madonna's based off her. I wanted to portray Mama Mary and her struggles that are usually not touched up upon in normal Bible discussions. Along with that, it also correlates to the suffering of mothers who are oppressed, like women in general are oppressed, and mothers especially are the ones struggling the most because they have to raise children and everything. So my vision was, in summary, portraying Mama Mary's sadness and kind of relating that to her being an artifact, and also making sure to empathize with the mothers who are struggling right now.
Hi, my name is Cyrus Siasakulo, and I am the overall head of SLAM and the director of the leads.
Hi, my name is Anico Ballesteros, and I am one of the scriptwriters for both of the main leads, and I'm also an actor who plays the Madonna of Bruges.
Okay, so we have two leads. One is the curator, her name is Celine, and the other one is the thief, and her name is Veria. So they are contrasting sides of a political argument. That's what they represent. And I think it's very interesting to see how they interact with the main theme of SLAM, which is, should the artifacts stay in the museum or be taken back to their original place. And while Celine is very complicit in what she's doing, she doesn't want to question the system. It's a huge contrast to Veria, who is more, let's say, rebellious or radical, and she protests for the artifact's freedom. And that's also why I chose to have two leads, just like in Alam, because I love the story of two contrasting characters, and I like how they contrast emotionally and they contrast physically with their color scheme. How about you, Aniko?
Okay, so as for mine, similar to what Sia said, Celine and Veria are two people who represent two opposing sides of based on political beliefs. And I feel like the reason why they're very important to the story is that they both show two sides of different political views about certain things, and that also shows really well on what they think about the artifacts monologues. And the thing about this is, I don't think there are any necessarily good or bad characters in this production. I think both of the characters each have their strengths and their flaws, but that doesn't disregard the fact that they both have different opinions, and some of them may be right or wrong. But that's what makes the production important, is to show these people yung two different stories and how they affect how people see their overall worldview in life.
Oh, and one more thing,
throughout the script you can like kind of tell, or it hints that Celine and Veria knew each other before, and that adds to like the depth of their relationship and how much they and how far they are in opposing sides. So I think that's very important to the story.
I'm Gabby Bartoloman. I play the Caryatid sister in show 2.
Hi, I'm Lex Rivera and I played the Caryatid sister in show date 1.
So in my perspective, I really look up to her and like her meaning and what she represents, because I feel like it's a very strong message, even if she's just one statue. So
To me, the artifact means like someone who stands with dignity even though she went through a lot of suffering alone from her, like isipin mo yun, like she was separated from her sister. So to me, she's someone that still stands strong even with all the challenges of being alone, of being placed in a museum that doesn't take care of her and that placed her in like some random corner lang. So yes.
So for me, I really just projected everything from like being an older sister, and I really projected how much like the struggles and like the protectiveness you are like towards your siblings. And at the end, it's just like, it is what it is. It's never perfect, and yeah.
Okay, for me, I had a hard time with this one because as an only child, and I don't know what it's like to have siblings, but in my family kasi, I'm like the oldest cousin. So I guess that's where I took my inspiration from, as someone that takes care of like literally babies. So yung protectiveness niya, or like the way she takes care, or the way she cares for her sisters, I reflected the way I care for my cousins in that. And then for me kasi I had a problem as well with the like with yung movements niya kasi statue siya, and I don't really like know how to cause she's just standing still, hindi naman siya gagalaw, you feel me ba? So ayun, but it's okay, I overcome it kasi parang yung ginawa namin, yung ginawa ko, parang I moved like I'm restricted ba, you feel me? And then the way I delivered my lines, I just made sure to like be really like expressive ba, kasi I know hindi ko siya ma-express through the movement. So I just made sure that my face, you could see the emotions on my face, you could hear the emotions in my voice, especially like when I cried, when I was angry, parang ganon. So yes, that's what I mostly focused on, and that's how I approached her.
Hi, I'm Anne Ramos.
I'm Ezra Elomina,
and we
play the Snakes of the Harko. For me, the artifact is a symbol of what do you call this? No. Wait, no. Sorry. Persistence. Being able to continue on even through hard times, hardships. And the artifact essentially to me is a way to express not just the royalty of Taharko himself, but also the idea that you can still continue on even through things that seem difficult or seem like you can't continue on with.
For me, King Taharka was a symbol of, someone that I wish I could be. Through King Taharka, I think I lived very confidently moving forward. I think, King Taharka, me and King Taharka are very different people, and seeing him as a character really changed my perspective as a person. It's not, I don't think I have many limits anymore, because if King Taharka overcame all of that, I think it inspired me to, keep going as a person despite the hardships, despite the lack of validation for the things I do.
For me, my own creative way to get into character or to embody Taharka was finding things, underlying things that I can relate with him. For example, the idea of losing so much, even though I have practically everything, but the idea of suddenly losing everything, suddenly losing like friends, family, all that, but still being able to, and still being the only one left, that scares me. And the idea that Taharko has actually gone through that made me try to relate myself to that specific situation. So I would essentially create a scenario in my head of what he went through, but something more personal, and be able to project that as Taharko himself.
For me, I was a little bit more technical about my approach. I did a little bit more research on King Taharka, and I wanted to be as accurate as possible with how I displayed him, which is kind of difficult because he's a very confident and brave person. As for me, I'm not as confident and brave as King Taharka. So I think embodying him was a little bit hard for me, but trying to find the similarities between me and him, it was kind of, when I saw those things, I started displaying those more in my performance. And I also tried to display his bravery and confidence in my everyday life, which kind of impacted me socially. But I think moving forward with that, I got to embody the character and also become a more confident person in life.
Hi, I'm Terry Kaluma as the Bells.
And I'm Piemonte, also as the Bells.
The Balangiga Bells to me is a reminder of the victims, of the people who were the civilians that were endangered during wars, and like what would happen when war crimes would happen to them, and also like a reminder of comfort women that we experience here in the Philippines.
To me, the Bells is a sort of representation of those who suffered and are continuing to suffer from the effects of war and
Colonization.
yes, colonization.
So like me and Pia would make headcanons about like what if the Bells were a person, and we were like headcanoning that she's like an older teen that would take care of the kids in the church, because like she would be like someone in parish service, like speaking of parish service, as a part of the silos in the school year, diba, we're tasked to do like parish involvement. So like I've been getting to know the children in my parish, and like I've been like helping them answer like worksheets and during catechism and stuff like that. And it's like a peek into the life of what I think the Bells would experience before the war.
You got first-hand experience.
Yeah. And like, okay. And I also have people I love, like family in the province. So every time I would try to embody the Bells, I would say to myself, what if those people were endangered? What if the people you loved in that situation were endangered, like in front of you, and you had to witness the horrors of like soldiers like committing war crimes against the people you love?
Mine is not as comprehensible as Terry's answer, but how I approached to embodying my character was that I tried to relate some of the stuff that's happened to her to my life. And I also tried watching some Philippine war movies to get a glimpse of what it could have been like back then.
My name is Serena. I played the Marbles of Parthenon, and my position was day 1.
I'm Sammy. I'm the day 2 cast of Parthenon Marbles.
The Marbles is a very passionate and emotional character, and I'm not I am emotional, but I'm not like I really don't show anger, I'm more sadness than anger. So I really had to channel all the petty frustrations I've had to really sell the character, I guess. Yeah. And to me playing the Marbles was a really great experience, and I loved it. So yeah.
To me, same thing. She's just very passionate. To me, the Marbles is a symbol of justice, and she's very confident. So I think playing her role was really a really good, different change. I enjoyed playing it, as it also boosted my confidence as well, and it was so fun to play the Marbles.
I tried to do as many micro movements, to add more, cause my director, she said to add movements, but I just wanted to I experimented a lot to try and find facial expressions and just more on the physical side of things. Yeah.
As for me, I wasn't so confident with my facial expressions and movements, so what I did, I actually looked up some characters that are kind of similar or have a similar personality to the Marbles, and I kind of studied them, tried to copy, and of course both me and Zarina, we practiced in front of a mirror all the time. Yes.
I'm Jeg Romero, and I played the Madonna of Bruges for Date 1.
And I'm Aniko Ballesteros. I also played the Madonna of Bruges for Day 2.
So my own thought process, basically my creative process throughout my entire thing for Slam, was that I got a few of my own experiences, especially relating to religion in general, and I kind of also projected my own inner turmoil, almost my inner thoughts about my character from the very start, my first impression of my character until D-Day. And because of that, I was able to channel my inner sadness, and I reached kind of a flow state in the middle of throughout my performance.
For me, on the other hand, actually the moment when I was casted as the Madonna, I was pretty shocked because I didn't think that I fit the character at first, which surprisingly isn't really the same as the rest of the opinions that I've heard from my other castmates. But as I tried to embody her character in a way, especially similar to what Jen said, the inner turmoil and all of my experiences as someone who's really connected with religion and my relationship with God, and I feel that really it helps me a lot.
Hi, my name's Cam, and I am the actress for Celine and also one of the overall heads.
Hi, I'm Callie, and I play as Veria, or the thief.
So for me, Celine is honestly just a girl. As I was analyzing the character, I think for me, Celine really is just she's a person, a result of the stuff around her. For example, why she is so uptight and why she keeps defending the museum, because of how she feels like she's stuck in the museum. You know, she's it's a consequence, I would say.
I'd say for me that Veria is a very complicated character, because as we all know, both Veria and Celine are not black and white characters. They're not good or bad. And again, Veria is neither good or bad. And I'd say that she's not only angry at the museum, but she's also, of course, angry at Celine for like letting herself be practically controlled by the decisions the museum makes. And yeah, I guess.
So my creative process was really, for me, I just wrote down like what makes her tick, like why. Like I would break down really like why is she so upset in each in the story. And also I would also ask the other actors, like for example the artifacts. I would ask them, so what do you feel during your artifact? Because for Celine, her whole plot line is that throughout the story, she also, whatever the artifacts say also reflect on her. For example, like the bells, they would call out on to the curator, like they would point her out, and she would like get more and more stressed out. The Madonna, she would empathize with her. So really I had to understand how they would present it, so then I could understand how I would feel. And also for me, I would see what I can do to align myself with the character, but also I had to make sure like my mannerisms, the way I present it in like mannerisms or voice lines isn't too much like myself. So like it looks like I'm portraying someone else while still keeping my own personal struggles.
For me, the way I studied the character was through watching political debates, and I tried to embody their anger, yet try to still like, I guess, like reason it out in a way. And at first I saw myself in Veria in a way where she stands politically, and her, I guess, like her anger through the at the museum, or like the system as a whole. But personally, I had to separate myself from Veria, since Veria is a person who very much shows her anger, and it's not just through words but also through actions, and I'm very not like that, so I really had to step out of my comfort zone for that one. And I really had to like study the levels of anger she portrays throughout the play.